Hello, folks. Good evening and good morning to all. It's my pleasure to invite you all to this webinar from Prozenics, and I am Prasad, founder of Prozenics. Prozenics provides technology training and consulting services to students and corporates. And today, as part of our technology webinar series, we present the topic deploying a web app using AWS Elastic Beanstalk by Mr. Samuel, who brings in a lot of experience in cloud and AWS. Don't get worried about the terminologies. We'll be explaining what it is. I know there are people who have got experience in AWS. We welcome those people as well. And if you are very new to AWS also, this webinar will open up a lot of things on the technology front. So please stay tuned. And before we get started, there is a little bit of housekeeping. We have muted all the participants so that we can hear what the presenter has to say. And the questions, you can, there is a chat window available in the tool. So you can put your questions there. And at the end of the webinar, Samuel will be replying to all the questions which I have asked. Okay, so without much further delay, I am turning the table to Mr. Samuel. Welcome, Samuel, to this webinar.
Hey, Prasad, it's a pleasure to be here today. All right, everyone. Once again, I would like to welcome you for today's session. And I really appreciate you taking time and joining today's session. And my hope, belief is that by the end of the session, you're not going to regret for joining. Simple as that. All right. So probably most of us should have known by now why we've gathered here. It's really to talk about a product called Elastic Beanstalk in the cloud. Right, and the reason why we're discussing this is it's very easy to adapt. Right, you could be new to the cloud, or you could be new to deployments. There are a lot of automation deployment tools available. Yes, I mean, you may be somebody who not familiar on all those, but again, somebody familiar and somebody not familiar, absolutely fine. This is a tool. It sort of walks us through deploying an web application. Now, as of now, they are sort of different. They're handled by different teams. Sometimes, looking at this might help. So we were talking about an infrastructure or an application. It requires an infra. It requires a highly availability application, and it must have the ability to expand and shrink based on the load. All right. And so the current problem I have is, this is what we were talking about. The current problem is I need an infra person. I need a system architect to give me high availability settings and how to integrate them together. I need some knowledge on how do I elastically increase and decrease knowledge, or some manpower resource to elastically increase and decrease, meaning when at any point when more load comes in, I should be able to turn my i3 machine into an i7 machine, just an example, or have 2-3 machines running in parallel when there is more load. And anytime the load goes low, I should be able to shrink back to whatever is optimum at that time. So to save some money, why would I want to spend money unnecessarily by running those machines which are not needed at that particular point? So things like that, a lot of complexities are there. And currently, a lot of the applications which are not in the cloud, they are sort of ignoring them. Right? We still have like 10 servers running when there is just one server needed for that particular hour, depending on the load. And we still have just 10 servers running when the need of the hour is 20 servers and to serve those customers. Now, because we didn't have the hardware available, because we did not have the manpower available, because we did not have the skill how to automate the expanding and shrinking of that environment, we sort of losing money when we are over provisioning an environment, and we are losing customers when we are under provisioning environment and could not meet those customers, right? So let's see how Elastic Beanstalk is going to fix this issue. All right. Now, Now I'm going to show you one thing. It's really an application that we are going to build real quick, right? It's an sample application, all right, and it's going to collect information. It's on Node.js, and it's going to collect information, right, from the users and store them in a safe place, right? The application is going to sort of look like this. Right? When everything is said and done, the application is going to look like this. It's really a web page which gathers information and saves it in a NoSQL DB. Right? Not only that, anytime somebody signs up through this, it's going to alert me saying that I've received some new input. Right? Not only that, it's going to scale up the environment and scale down the environment based on need. Elastic Beanstalk is going to do all this for us. And we're not done yet. One last thing, Elastic Beanstalk is going to maintain high availability, meaning if an application or a server goes down, application crashes, or a server goes down for XYZ reason, it's going to quarantine. In other words, it's going to flush, it's going to terminate, it's going to get rid of that resource or hardware altogether and automatically replace a new hardware in that place and keep the application healthy, running, keep customers happy, save billing, and a lot more. All right, so we can get started. So let me list down all the things that the application that we're going to build is going to need or is going to have. All right, for definitely a server. All right, in this case, we're going to pick an Linux server. All right, and then an optimum sized hardware. All right, and load balancer. All right, in cloud it's called the Elastic Load Balancer, so that's ELB. Right, this is more like the application gateway. All right, the interface or the first point of contact for the users from the outside world. Right, and then auto scaling. All right, being able to increase and shrink based on the load. All right, so that's some feature this environment is going to have. And one another thing, notification system. All right, and we're not done yet. A DB to save information. All right, and a lot more, but it would be too much for today. All right, I would like to get yourself introduced and then later have some time to answer some questions you might have. So let me stop here, or let me limit myself only with using these features. Right. So first thing, I feel like spelling out a cooking recipe. First thing, do this. Get the onions ready. Second thing, get the garlic ready. Pour oil in the pan. All right. So first thing, log into the console. Sometimes that might throw error. That's because you're not using the right password. Sometimes that might throw error again. All right, a new window. All right. It's taking a password from the cache, I believe, and that's why it's throwing an error. All right, give me one quick moment. Let me have that fixed. Okay. Fifth attempt is always lucky. All right, so these are a variety of features we can use from the AWS console, and what we are going to use is this one, Elastic Beanstalk. All right, it's used for automation. All right, it's as simple as that. And from this console that you looked at, it's a very powerful one. I can build data centers throughout the world, wherever Amazon has environments built in, be it Paris, be it South America, be it in Sydney, Australia, be it in Tokyo, Japan, be it in any of the places in the US, be it in Mumbai, whatnot, right? I can simply provision a new environment in those locations to serve those customers locally. That's very much possible. All right, so um, back to the content. What we really wanted to do was create an application. All right, so let's call this application as GSG sign up. All right, and what we need is an web server. Our architecture also needs a database. All right, we'll talk about that. And this is going to use Node.js. Right now, do I want to provision it in a single instance or and load balancing and an auto scaling environment? So let me pick load balancing and auto scaling environment. And I keep my configuration as high as possible, not high, but medium as possible. All right. So a couple of other things here, we'll come back and look at them. All right. It's going to get an URL for me. Now this is the URL the users will be using to access the application. In this case, you want to try using this URL and access them. All right. Gotcha. Now we're not going to pick a database from here. I already have another database running. All right. I just want to walk you through as in how simple these stuffs are. Right. This really talks about the power of the server. All right. T2 micro being small, and I can scroll up, and it can be as big as this one. All right. I'm fine with small. It's a very limited workload. I'm going to use, so it's fine. All right. Pretty much, I'm going to keep everything as defaults. All right. And launch. It sort of looks simple, right? But what it really did behind the scenes, or what it is doing behind the scene, is that now we're going to check the log and try to understand. So what this is doing is that, to begin with, it's building an Linux machine and probably two Linux machines. All right, getting ready on a hardware, and then it's installing Node.js in it, resolving all conflicts. It's built right after resolving all it. I mean, it's doing it automatically. It's resolving all the conflicts and installing the needed software and dependencies to run Node.js. It's also installing a firewall in front of it, right? And what else? It's creating an auto scaling group, right? Auto scaling group. If one goes down in this group, it'll have to replace. Maybe I can use a different color. All right. Let me use blue. So it's creating an auto scaling group. All right, it's not a perfect square, but think of this as a slightly damaged auto-scaling group, right? We have an auto-scaling group, and then it's installing a load balancer on top of it, right? So it can sort of receive all the connections and load balance them to these instances. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It would load balance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, things like that. So no one server hits 100%. The utilization is sort of maintained on both the servers correctly, right? What else is it building? Let's see. Yep, it's building an notification system. All right. Anybody inputs information here, send an email, right, to these email addresses. Not only that, anybody inputs some information, now put them in this particular table I'm pointing you to. This is DB. All right. So this is what it is building. Let's see. All right. So let's try all the logs. I'm looking at all the logs. So this is when it started. All right. And then it created a security group. This is the firewall I was talking about. It created a firewall, put some configurations in there, and then it created a load balancer, the application gateway I was talking about, and then it created an auto scaling group. All right, put those servers in a group and maintain the number of servers in the group to be 2 or 4, whatever you want it to be. All right, it did that. And it also created an alarm. All right, if something goes down, all right, so alarm will get triggered and auto healing will get involved. All right, if a server goes down, let's say, the alert gets triggered and auto healing, sorry, auto healing would come into picture, and it will remove that and remove that server and put in a new server in its place. Right. Pretty much. Are we done? Or it looks like we're done. All right, so it's healthy. Let's see. All right, pretty much. So it sort of installed that environment that's needed for me. The only thing that needs to be done is to upload a code so this can carry on with the rest of the work. All right, so let's see. I mean, as developers, we have code ready already, right? So I already have the code ready with me. All right, so that I'm going to use to upload. Maybe we can use this and upload. All right, give me one quick moment. Before that, let me make sure the dependencies are there. All right, so we need a notification system that it would integrate with. Let me see if a notification system is present. All right, there is a notification system that's already present. Let me just make a copy of it. We might need it real quick. And what else do we need? We might need the table, right? Table where the contents will be stored. That's the DB. All right, here we're using DynamoDB. That's an Amazon NoSQL product. Right. Go to tables, and sure enough, I have a table here. And at the moment, there are no items in here. We're planning on receiving this item. So let me copy the table name. And there's another thing I would require, that is the region it's running on. That's Oregon, and I would like to have the equivalent code for it, and that can be found in this place that I'm going to show you right now. All right, so here is it. All right, and this is in the region. I'm looking at the code, right? So that's US West 2A or US West 2. All right, so I have all the information that I need, and we can get started. All right, just one another thing before I can import the code. Okay, so look at this. It has already launched a server for me. I'm going to show you a couple of other things real quick. So let's upload the file. I just zipped it at 829. It's supposed to get uploaded. Version label. All right, give me one quick moment. All right, so this is updating the environment, and probably we might see the servers getting updated with this content. All right, let me edit a few things so it sort of looks small. Okay, got it. All right, so what we had was an default version, a fresh computer with Node.js installed on it, simple as that. Now we are uploading the code into it, and let's wait till the time it's done. And once it is done, we will be able to access the application real quick. All right, maybe it's ready already. But still, let's wait. Behind the scenes, it needs to connect to the database server. All right, the environment update completed successfully. All right. All right, looks like it's done. Okay. So the whole application is about intimating a user about an upcoming event and sort of signing up the user for that particular event, collecting information from the user, whether they're interested, stuff like that, whether they want to be notified, stuff like that. Now, you can be very creative about this, and you can integrate the system into any of your environment needs, like a product launch or um, any promotional that's coming up, or if you're taking a survey, maybe you can use that. Right, so you can really be creative about using this. All right, so the application server is ready, but that's not the only thing the Elastic Load Balancer built. Now it has an database that it built behind the scenes. Now that's supposed to gather the information, right? All right, just to be sure, if we launch them with the correct roles, give me one quick moment. And it should have also have sent an email notification for us. All right, so this instance that we're looking at, right? Anytime there is a load, this instance can scale up itself. It can create another instance for itself. Now, we're not going to apply load. Instead, we're going to simulate it, right? We're going to simulate as if there is an load, and we're going to see how it's going to provision new environments for us. All right. Assume that there is a load. Now that's going to take some time. It has to take a copy of everything that's running in that particular machine, and it'll have to create a new server, and it'll have to attach it to a load balancer on top of it, so the load gets shared. So in this case, it's going to be 50-50. So if I make it to 3, it will again provision a new environment and again receive all the 100% load and share it to the 3 different machines, like 33.33, 33.33, and 33.33. Right. So if any one instant goes down, the load can still be shared with the other one. Not only that, the failed instance can also be replaced by auto-scaling. Now, with this, we are creating an environment which would never fail. Now, look at this. It's provisioning another environment for me. All right, it just got started. So with all these things in place, we are building an environment that would sort of never fail. Now, high availability, 100% uptime is what is being requested everywhere. And high availability with a lot of automation in there, without any manual work, is what is being requested everywhere. Now, everybody wants to be online. Everybody wants to there are sites, even in the middle of the night, it still gets traffic. Now, before 5-10 years, we wouldn't have imagined of any traffic of that sort. And every company going global, having business all over the country. So, I mean, all over the world, all over the planet. Now, around the clock, there is traffic coming in, depending on whichever is business hours for a particular country. And we would have a centralized location or a distributed location where we receive traffic. So our environment should be up all the time, considering we're doing global business now. All right. So this deployment, it really gives a high availability. Now, the coolest part, like I said, this is known for being developer friendly. All right. Building an infrastructure requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of Linux knowledge. Maybe building a Linux machine requires a lot of Linux knowledge. And sorting out the dependencies requires a lot of Linux knowledge as well. The commands needed, is this version work? Would this version work? And stuff like that. We know it, right? So we're familiar with all that. And then having a load balancer on top of it would require networking knowledge on top of it, system plus networking knowledge already. Now, how do I connect them together? Architecting knowledge. For somebody who's 1 year or 2 years in the system, or anybody who's new to any of these, you might be a developer new to network, or you might be a network person new to the applications, or you could be a management person. Now you want to try things for yourself, stuff like that. So all these would be new to you. And Elastic Beanstalk, it really helps us with offloading all those complexities, offloading all those complexities from us, and it sort of handles everything for us. It's sort of a managed a deployment service that handles everything for us. All right. Okay. Now, a few other things I wanted to show you was, let's try it. It says thanks for signing up. Let's try another name maybe. Okay. And I'm going to check if I have received emails for as alerts. I received one email sometime back that was for the alert subscription that sort of looked like this, right? So that looked like this. You know, you're subscribed for such and such, and you know, you'll be receiving any new emails when somebody subscribes, stuff like that. Right, so there are a lot of other things this could do. I mean, this is a good use case for developing an production and test environment. Now, back then, we were doing, back then we would have a production environment. Now, it would be as big as this, and we would have a test environment. It would be as small as this. There could be like you know, some differences, you know, 2% deviation from whatever's for the production and whatever's for the test. And then, you know, we would test our application on a small scale in this, and when we move it to the production, we would have issues, and then we would roll back, and then we would test again, and then move it to production, stuff like that. Or in some cases, we wouldn't have a test environment. We would have a production environment, test it in local laptops for medium and small size companies I'm talking about, and then we would get a 3 hours downtime, you know, starting from 12 in the night to 3 a.m. in the morning, all right? And we would do all the update and assume that if it didn't work, we would get another 3-hour extension till 6 a.m. and then try to fix it. And if that didn't work, try to get another 3 hours till 9. By that time, people would have logged in. We may not be able to do that. And then sometime till 12, already some 6 to 4, already some 6 to 7 hours of downtime would have happened already for the user. So this is in the traditional environment, and this is in some of the automated environments. Now, all this can be handled by Elastic Block Store, excuse me, Elastic Beanstalk easily. You know, I can have an environment, and assume this is a production environment. Parallelly, I can build a test environment, which is of the same scale. All right, test environment, do all the deployments here, and anytime that's cut over, I can simply redirect traffic to this test service. Now this test becomes a new production, new prod. Right, now this becomes the new test. Right, that's new test. All right, so again, if I want to keep it, I can keep it. If I want to downsize it, I can downsize it and do all the updations needed. And anytime I want to switch back, I can bring it big and then switch over to this one. And this becomes a new production, and this becomes the new test environment. So that's possible with Elastic Beanstalk as well. So look at how the complexity of maintaining an environment, or more importantly, the complexity of developing the environment, is taken away by Elastic Beanstalk. All right. So, like I said, you know, I'm trying to summarize. Like I said, this is a really good use case for developers where they want to develop machines, and a real good use case for companies where they don't have a dedicated infra person working for them, stuff like that. All right. Pretty much. I haven't got the email yet, but at least we get the idea that I'm subscribed to it now. I'll get it when things starts to run. All right. So time for question. Looks like there's one question already. You can put them in the chat window and I'll be able to answer. Now, before that, I'll have to find the chat window. Yeah, the main purpose is to uh, help developers easily answering Vinod's question. Help developers, build the environment easily, and so that's the main reason. And as in complementary, it has a lot of automations in place that takes away the maintenance headache of that environment. Like we saw, it provisioned a new environment by itself, so it took off the maintenance headache from the team. It took care of it. No, it's not an IAM policy, Prabha. It's actually the code. I had it named differently. So it's really the code. It just has the name IAM policy, but it's really not an IAM policy. Right. So that had actually the zip file had a lot of contents in there. Right. So contents in there, it had talked about the contents where which region it has to launch, and the table it has to store information, the notification it has to subscribe to, and the page. Let me see if I can show that. Yeah, and the page. This is the page that we were using, stuff like that. All right, so that zip file. Let me see if I can open it. Extract to IAM policy. Okay. Right here. So it had all the content in there. It's just the name. I've kept it as IAM policy, right? So it's actually the codes that go into that server to make that website happen. Pretty much, develop an environment and get those codes ready that you would publish into the server and upload them. I'm answering Arvind's question. So whatever the Beanstalk did that was building that environment, and whatever fresh codes that we need to add, we can create it and put it there. All right. Prabha, that was not a JSON code. It was actually the software code, combination of everything. All right. Is this EBS a set of code which automates the entire provisioning? Set of codes behind the scenes? Yes. Behind the scenes, it uses codes to automate the entire provisioning. Yes, right. So we do have. I mean, if you are an AWS aspirant, or if you're looking at learning cloud solutions, we do provide trainings on a monthly basis. Every new month, we would have a batch, upcoming batch, and it is an live session with a lot of labs, and we discuss a lot of scenarios, and also we help prepare for the exam. And so far we've had only 100% pass percentage because of the training and the materials that we give. So if you are somebody who looking at getting yourself certified because your application is migrating or already migrated, or if you're looking at switching jobs after looking for a better job, looking for the promotion, or whatnot. Sooner or later, everything is going to be in the cloud. So at that time, we will be forced to learn cloud. All right. So if you are somebody who would like to be the early bird and get yourself adapted, so when it does happen, you become the senior person, you can always contact us. We also run a couple of other DevOps programs you can benefit from. And we also do consulting work if you are stuck in some project and if you need some help, be it a big or small scale company. You can always get in touch with us. We will be able to help you with that. All right. So talking about AWS, let me answer Anand's question. Is this similar to DevOps? It does use some of DevOps concepts. Yes, it does use some of DevOps concepts. Right, continuous integration and continuous development, it does that. And a lot more. Deployment strategies. We had two servers, right? So anytime we deploy, do we want to deploy it in both the servers at the same time? If we deploy both the service at the same time, it's going to create a downtime, right? The application is not going to be accessible at least for a split second. So I can go for some rolling deployment where I update half of the environment, and when it comes up, I would send traffic to the new environment and then update the second half. All this is taken care by Amazon, all right? So it's sort of managed. It has DevOps flavor in it. Absolutely, yes, Anand, right? What are the courses you're providing? Um, Prasad just posted a few, right? In addition to AWS Solution Architect Associate, we also train people on developer, sysops, and both professional level certification. And we yet to pick up on AWS Network Speciality. And I'm all 4 certified at the moment out of 5, all 4 certified. Solution Architect Professional as well. All right, so when you learn from us, you get the wide understanding, which is sort of being ignored or slightly looked at with the other trainings that are available in the market. All right. Is it admin task? What is the prerequisite to have this course? It's really not an admin task, right? It might look like admin, but it's not really admin task. A lot of programming is involved. Architecting in general is involved. How do I mean, looking at things from an 100-foot or 1,000 feet, 1,000-foot overview. You know, so far our applications, the applications we were working with, it was a section in an infrastructure. You know, somebody gave us instructions and we were building it. Now, this helps with understanding the different components that make up the cloud environment. For example, you know, let me talk about associate architect, for example, solution associate architect. All right, let me go back to the console. All right, we should have received the we should have received the email address. We didn't. That's fine. It's going to take some time to get that fixed, but we get the idea, right? So we will be talking about, I said, this is a course about architecting. So we'll be talking about, you know, deciding based on the requirement, deciding the compute capacity needed for the customer, deciding the storage capacity needed for the customer for an application to work or an infrastructure to meet its business needs. You know, many times you've heard, you know, convert the a business need into an infrastructure. That's what it does. And then picking the right type of database we want, and you know, creating the underlying network connectivity for the environment. So it's not admin task. Now sysops would be admin task, and a developer would be the developing task, right? Architect would be I mean, maybe this could example it. I mean, this example could explain it a lot clear. Architect is a person who interacts with the customer, gets the requirement, and then goes back with the proposal and with the different budget options. All right, saying that, okay, so if you choose this budget, you get these features available for you. If you choose this, some more features available for you, stuff like that. So that's what architect does. This is if the architect is directly interacting with the end user, end customer. You know, sometimes companies have their own architects. In that case, whenever the budget increases or budget shrinks, based on that, the architect would build environment for that for his own company based on the requirement, or removing unwanted services or adding few more services to automate environment, stuff like that. So that's what an architect does, Karna. So it's not an admin task, like I said. It's architecting, it's developing, and also ensuring that the support runs smoothly. That's what we would learn in solution architect associate level. Okay, so I'm pretty much done. If you have any questions, you can always post. We're going to wait for some time and answer some of the questions. And in the meantime, yeah, we're planning on having a bunch of webinars. Maybe I can give you a hint right now. The next webinar is based on creating environments, right? Creating two environments, and one for development and one for testing. And it's basically on creating an virtual private cloud in this public cloud, right? Making it more secure, making it more compact, stuff like that. So we're working on it. Hopefully we can expect it soon. Prasad has your contact information. All right. So Prasad has your contact information. We will get in touch with you through SMS or through emails anytime we come up with a new webinar. And like I said, we're planning it real soon. All right. Yes, we can get Elastic Beanstalk notifications. Yes, anytime something goes down, Elastic Beanstalk can notify that there has been some infrastructure changes to the environment. And most of the time it will come up with an happy news. Yeah, there has been changes and I auto fixed it. So early in the morning when you open your laptop, you get the happy message. Yeah, there was an issue and I fixed it, stuff like that. So it does send, yes. So it does send about the application. It does send about itself, stuff like that. All right, so I would like to hand this over to Prasad again. I'm pretty much done with the content, and I really hope and believe that you enjoyed. And like I said, I less likely think that you would regret for joining. In other words, I believe you enjoyed taking today's webinar. All right, so let me give over to Prasad.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks so much for explaining in detail and providing good insight on the AWS Beanstalk. And thanks for all people who have joined. And I think we will take more questions because of lack of time. And for any of the queries, please send an email to us, or we will be uploading this video onto our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we are coming up with at least 3 webinars in a month. One will be technical process and soft skills kind of seminar. So that will benefit everybody. And whoever has already subscribed to our webinars will be getting an email notification. Okay, is there any other questions? Please type it here. So also we can send the email to info@prozenics.com. And thank you once again, Sam, and everyone who has taken time to join this evening webinar. Thank you all.